In the heart of the quiet, rural American Midwest, an ordinary farmhouse hid a darkness that would shock the world and haunt our nightmares. The owner of the farmhouse was named Ed Gein, a man who inspired horror's most unforgettable monsters. The small town of Plainfield, Wisconsin was as innocuous as they come. Nestled amidst sprawling fields and sparse woods, it harbored an unsuspecting secret, hidden behind the wholesome facade of the Gein family farmhouse. Here, unspeakable acts of depravity were committed. Acts of murder, grave robbery, and grotesque curiosities created from the remains of the dead. His story fueled the imaginations of writers and filmmakers, giving birth to some of cinema's most terrifying characters, Norman Bates, Leatherface, and Buffalo Bill, each carrying a piece of Gein's ghastly legacy. In this video, we delve into the haunting story of Ed Gein, a tale from which you may want to look away, but one that commands a morbid fascination impossible to resist. Born on August 27, 1906, Edward Theodore Gein lived a life that was far from ordinary, even from his earliest days. His father was an alcoholic and largely absent, leaving the upbringing of Ed and his older brother primarily to their mother, Augusta. Augusta was a domineering and fervently religious woman. She isolated her sons from the outside world, feeding them fire and brimstone tales of immorality and sin. This cultivated an unhealthy fixation on death and damnation in young Ed. In 1940, Ed and Henry's father succumbed to heart failure due to his alcoholism. Following their father's death, Ed and Henry began doing odd jobs around town to cover living expenses. Despite their isolated upbringing, the brothers were considered reliable and honest by the residents of the community. Ed in particular would often babysit for neighbors. He explained that he related more easily to children than adults, a wholesome sentiment that is in stark contrast to the horror that lurked within him. On May 16, 1944, a day that would mark another dismal chapter in the Gein Chronicle, Ed was burning away marsh vegetation on their property. The fire quickly got out of control, attracting the local fire department. As the smoke cleared and the firefighters retreated, Ed reported his brother missing. With lanterns and flashlights cutting through the darkness, a search party embarked on a grim mission to find Henry. His body was eventually found face down, unmarked by the fire. Initial reports suggested he had been dead for some time, and the cause of death appeared to be heart failure, as he bore no visible injuries from the fire. However, a darker suspicion loomed. Biographer Harold Schechter would later report that Henry had unexplained bruises on his head. Despite these chilling inconsistencies, the authorities quickly dismissed any possibility of foul play. The county coroner officially listed asphyxiation as the cause of death, accepting it was all a tragic accident. No official investigation was conducted and an autopsy was not performed, leaving lingering questions about the true nature of Henry's demise. Was this an accident? Or was this the inception of Ed Gein's dark journey? With his brother gone and his father long dead, Ed was left alone with his increasingly deranged mother. His isolation deepened further when Augusta passed away a year after Henry. The loss devastated Ed. His world was reduced to the confines of their decrepit farmhouse. It was in this isolation that his morbid obsessions began to take a dreadful shape. Fast forward to November 16, 1957. Plainfield's local hardware store proprietor, Bernice Warden, disappeared. Her son, a deputy, found the store's cash register emptied and bloodstains on the floor. A sales slip led him to Ed Gein, who had been the last customer purchasing antifreeze on the day of Bernice's disappearance. With this chilling lead, the police decided to pay a visit to the reclusive Gein. What they discovered is that nondescript farmhouse was beyond their wildest imaginations. A macabre gallery of horrors that would shake even the most hardened of souls. If you're fascinated by true crime stories and unexplored depths of the human psyche, consider subscribing to our channel. Hit the notification bell to stay updated on our latest releases. In the dim, chaotic interior of Gein's home, a sight of unimaginable horror awaited the investigators. The Washara County Sheriff's deputy made a ghastly discovery in a shed on Gein's property. There, hanging like a gruesome parody of a hunter's trophy, was the decapitated body of Bernice Worden. She was hung upside down by her legs, a crossbar at her ankles, and ropes binding her wrists. Her torso was gutted with chilling precision, eerily reminiscent of a deer during hunting season. The forensic examination revealed she had been shot with a .22 caliber rifle. This grim tableau of death sent chills down the spine of even the most hardened law enforcement officers, a chilling testament to the horror that was Ed Gein. But the horror didn't end there. The officers also stumbled upon a gruesome collection of human remains, masks, lampshades, and other items, all fashioned from the skin of the dead. He'd robbed local graves, bringing home bodies to satiate his ghastly fascinations. The shocking revelation sent ripples of horror through Plainfield, and soon the rest of the world. Ed Gein, the quiet, odd-job man of their town, was unmasked as a living nightmare. When Gein's horrifying secret was uncovered, it was not just his murderous acts that terrified the world, but the details of how obsession with death had spiraled into a dark and twisted hobby. Under the cover of night, Gein would visit local graveyards. He wasn't there to pay respects, but rather to rob the graves of recently buried women who reminded him of his deceased mother. His macabre activities, however, didn't stop at mere grave robbing. In the solitude of his farmhouse, Gein's obsession took a disturbing turn. He was haunted by a desire to become a woman, to embody the mother figure that dominated his existence. He attempted this transformation in the most ghastly way imaginable. Gein created what he termed a woman suit, a patchwork of human skin in an attempt to wear the guise of the feminine, a chilling testament to his deranged obsession. The police investigation revealed more eerie artifacts in Gein's farmhouse, all made from human remains. Furniture upholstered in human skin, bowls made from skulls, a belt made from female nipples, and other unspeakable items of horror. His sadistic fascination with the human body transformed his home into a shrine of the macabre, an eerie testament to the depths of human depravity. Once apprehended, Gein's eerie calmness sent chills down the investigators' spines. It didn't take much prodding for him to confess his macabre fascinations. He admitted to grave robbing, to exhuming the bodies of recently deceased women who reminded him of his mother. Gein openly described his ghoulish exploits, how he transported those lifeless bodies back to his farmhouse. There, he'd express his twisted anatomical curiosity, dismembering the corpses, engaging in necrophilic activities, and repurposing their skin for his personal home decor. The investigators unearthed the remains of 10 women in Gein's home, a sight that will forever haunt them. At the time, the Plainfield Police Department was grappling with an interminable backlog of unsolved murders and disappearances. Naturally, they were desperate to connect the dots, hoping to pin some of these unresolved cases on Gein. However, Gein maintained a disturbingly tight-lipped demeanor about any other killings. Despite their relentless efforts, the authorities could only definitively link him to 2 murders, Bernice Worden and Mary Hogan. His trial commenced on November 21, 1957 in Washara County Court. There, amidst a flurry of flashing cameras and the hushed whispers of the courtroom, Gein entered a plea of not guilty by reason of insanity. His defense argued that his fixation on his domineering mother and his subsequent isolation from society had warped his mind to an irreparable extent. The prosecution painted a grim picture of Gein's horrific crimes, but the jury was swayed by his palpable detachment from reality. Gein was subsequently committed to Central State Hospital for the criminally insane. There, within the halls of the institution, Gein would spend the rest of his days, a grim testament to the chilling manifestation of derangement in its most terrifying form. His name would echo through the annals of criminal history, not as a man, but as a monster, a disturbing embodiment of humanity's darkest corners. The chilling legacy of Ed Gein extends far beyond the confines of his grisly farmhouse in the quiet town of Plainfield, Wisconsin. His sadistic crimes and morbid obsessions left an indelible mark on the cultural fabric of America, casting a long, ominous shadow that continues to linger. Gein's tale of deranged devotion to his mother eerily resonated with Robert Bloch's seminal novel Psycho, which in turn inspired Alfred Hitchcock's iconic film of the same name. The central character, Norman Bates, chillingly mirrors Gein's twisted fascination with his mother. His grotesque hobby of crafting artifacts from human remains sparked the horrifying imagery seen in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And who could forget the terrifying character of Buffalo Bill in Silence of the Lambs, another cinematic monster inspired by Gein's horrific actions. The story of Edward Gein is one that shocks and repulses, yet continues to fascinate. A quiet, unassuming man hiding in unimaginable darkness. His tale serves as a stark reminder of the monstrous depths to which humanity can sink. For more chilling narratives, unnerving crime histories, and explorations into the darkest corners of the human psyche, join us here on Curse Collection. Subscribe and hit the notification bell to stay updated on our latest releases. Until next time, take care.